Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another interesting talk show by It's All About Home. We've been consistently talking about a subject which is very close to everyone's heart. Firstly, today is World Craft Day, so congratulations to all our participants who are drenched in craft and born to royal families who have supported craft traditionally and are actual true patrons of many things like art, craft, music, everything. So, may I please introduce the topic today? We are talking about how residents and uh, owners or patrons of old palaces have converted and made their homes look contemporary with a touch of Indian, with a touch of modern, with a lot of heritage, and yet kept the look going. So, to begin with, may I please invite Gunjan to uh, come on and join me. And we could first, hi Gunjan.
Hello, how are you?
Great, it's wonderful to have you here. And so, before we start and introduce our illustrious panel, can I please ask you to say a few words on how It's All About Homes has been using vintage techniques and crafts, today's World Craft Day, handmade techniques, and created such contemporary homes and such contemporary ideas for homes?
See, we live in a world where we have artisans doing beautiful handworks. And the most important thing is that we should retain it. We should retain the art. And also at the same time, with the changing world and the necessities are changing, we need to modernize the designs. So we are working with a team of international designers who are constantly evolving the designs and creating more modern designs, which we are manufacturing in our own facility with the help of these artisans. We are retaining the artwork with these artisans using all the techniques like hammering and mouth blowing and so many other techniques, sand blasting, which is there. That is the most important part to retain. This is what makes us unique. This is what we present to the whole world. That's what our creativity is all about. So this is what we are also implementing in IAH at the same time. So all the things that we design with our team of designers, we make it in house. We make it in our own facility
Hmm.
to give the best possible quality, which we are maintaining, maintaining as global standards over here.
Great. And so today we are talking with a very illustrious panel. As I said, that we'll be talking to three amazing ladies who have redone their beautiful homes, and they are all women from royal backgrounds who have been born into ancient palaces. Hi, Priya. We also
Hi.
have so we have
Hello.
hi,
Mm.
Priya.
Hi.
We also have with us Priya, who's actually the host. I'm just helping her along. So, Priya, So, she has this beautiful online sort of a portal called lifestyleinsider.in. But
Wonderful.
Priya.com, she's a prolific writer. I admire everything she does. She has a sense of finesse, and also she plays it down, but she also comes from a Rajput background. Her mother is from the Rohit family, and actually, she'll be chatting shortly with her aunt, Rashmi
This
ji.
sister-in-law, sister-in-law.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's with her sister-in-law, and Priya, tell me how much of uh, how do you see India's blended contemporary with classics when it comes to homes? Old vintage homes, heritage homes. How do you think that's changed?
Okay, so I firmly believe that we have such a wealth of properties, palaces, havelis, even old bungalows, that have so much history, and that for literally if only walls could speak. But
Hmm.
what I've seen now is, I've actually I've witnessed it firsthand because my uncle, the late Thakur Sahib of Rohit, like he was one of the first people in that region near Jodhpur to start this heritage hotel concept. So we just saw the literally the birthing of the heritage hotel concept. But coming to the part about decor, also the initially things were just very simple, and people used Rajasthani furnishings, but all that evolved into something so interesting. And that is the key to what these ladies are going to tell us today, because each of their homes actually is a reflection of how they have taken their cultural milieu where they're from, and how they have incorporated that into their beautiful properties, and each one of them has a beautiful story to say. And I'm really looking forward to that. But I think the most important thing is to celebrate design, which is there, celebrate tradition without overpowering, and where also you can feel a sense of comfort and spaciousness and modernity, but also a kind of a nod to the past, and also of course use the skills like Gunjanji does, of the artisans, and in the area around it. So this is a multi-pronged thing that all these people are utilizing very, very well.
Yeah, that's true. So, shall we formally introduce all our lovely ladies today? Maybe we can bring them back on screen. And it's very interesting. Namaskar, Sushma ji, Rashmi, and Rashmi ji. Uh, Great to see all of you here. So, it's really interesting that Rashmi Bhanjdeo, and Sushma ji are sisters, cousins, right?
No, we are real sisters.
Oh, real sisters. Yes. Oh, yeah. I get confused all the time. And we have Rashmi ji from Rohit, who's actually related to Priya. So this is it's almost like a family scenario today.
Blended family.
Very interesting and very cohesive.
Very, very
Mhm.
good. But let me
And
start
we
by,
also you as
sorry.
well. Not to
Yeah.
forget, we've had a lot of association with tables and you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So I'll start by introducing Sushma ji. My meeting with her was as a sari designer. She does spectacular chiffon saris, which remind you of the Maharani era. I knew of this beautiful property they had in Muradabad, but it's only recently that the family got down to making it such a beautiful space. I was blown when I saw the pictures, and most of it was her aesthetics, of course, with help with some Adil, who's a very well known, again, he's also not just a interior designer but a restorer to my mind. So
Definitely.
yeah, so I'll Priya will be the one asking the questions, but I'm formally inviting all of you. Rashmi from Rohit, I had the occasion to eat a lovely dinner at your place and see Mihirgarh. Gunjan, you must go to Mihirgarh because both
Okay.
of them, the husband and wife, actually found a beautiful mound, and they decided to do something
Something
and
happened.
create a.
Everyone's frozen and no sound, Anshu.
Oh, hello.
That's amazing to know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Sushma ji, we'll just set this right. But and to introduce Mihir Garg, she used all indigenous materials, starting from building upward, and it's today listed as a luxury hotel. It's a stunning property. I love the way she uses Indian craft and Indian paintings, and just makes the colors so subtle, so beautiful, uses her shin sprints so beautifully. It's like a standing example of how, modern and Indian can blend in.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Rashmi ji, I have not been to Bulgaria, but your daughters keep treating us to beautiful pictures of the property. I think it's just been renovated, it's stunning. And you're in the thick of, I call Odisha a craft heaven, and yet you've been able to make such a contemporary, classic sort of a space. So, congratulations. And they're also promoting a lot of local indigenous dance forms, crafts, sustainable products. So thanks a lot for giving us time, and I'll leave the room now to Priya to start her question. Uh,
Thank you, Anshu, for having us here.
I know, of course. So Priya, fire away.
Far away. Okay, let's start with Rashmi ji of my Bunch. Shall we do that?
Rashmi,
Hello.
Rashmi,
No, Mayur Bunch. Okay, we'll start with you. Sounds great. Okay, so Bhavisa. Okay, so let's tell the viewers a little bit about Rohit House. It's a very special place, of course, for me because I'm attached there to all my childhood memories and spending almost every single summer there. This airy bungalow that was, once a family home, and it still is a family home, but you opened it recently, to the public, and it's a luxurious boutique hotel in the heart of Jodhpur, and it's just phenomenal. But of course, the story began much earlier with Rohit Gad, and it began with Rohit Gad with the very first paintings that started with the rooms, I think facing the lake, and then of course Mihir Gad, which was the jewel literally in the crown, and award-winning boutique hotel. But also, so my first question to you is, how did you use this local craftsmanship and turn it into the very modern aesthetics that are visible in Rohit House now? And I think Mirgat is kind of the precursor to everything. But how have you done that? I mean, I want to just ask you to explain that to us.
in Mihirgarh, yes, it is. Well, in Mihirgarh, it's rustic and modern, while at Rohit House, it is more contemporary with a traditional sort of core to it. So, if you talk about Rohit House, the house is 1960s. Some of the furniture and artifacts and pieces that were there I have used, but it's mostly my design and my idea. Um, to get it, it's just very intuitive. Whatever I liked, whatever I sort of like when I travel, when I see craftsmen, when I see people's homes, art galleries. So it's just what I like that I put together. There is, of course, that core traditional design in it. Uh, the colors may seem to people to be very Western, but they all inspired from the miniature paintings. And
Yeah.
what I've done is the paintings on the walls are just blown up miniatures. So when you look at miniatures in detail, all these colors are there. It's just
Yes.
that we don't use these kind of paintings today. If you
Yes.
go and look at the old pitchwise, if you look at the old antique miniatures, you'll find these light colors. They're there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I do. I am a person who's very sort of more inspired by the classic, and the contemporary is the modern comforts that one puts into the place.
Yes,
That's how it is. I cannot do a project without using the local artisans.
of
In
course.
Mirgarh, it's more than just the paintings. It's the fireplaces, the other
Yes.
things that village women have done, and that have really become the statement for Mirgarh. So yeah, I have, sort of, I can proudly say that I have flaunted the beauty of Marwar in Mirgarh. It's really
That's absolutely lovely.
it is really a tribute to the artisans and the craftsmen of the area. Yeah.
Absolutely. Gunjan ji, if you have a question for Rashmi ji.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. After knowing so much about the artisans and so much importance of the art which is being there, you being used in the Mihirgarh as well as in the house of Rohit, as you just told us.
Hmm.
So, but now as we put our thoughts together after this pandemic situation, so like the people's thoughts have changed about their homes. So, like the people are now just considering it a place to come in the evening, but like in future, what we see is that we will be spending more and more time in our homes. So, in
Right.
that manner, how do you think you would like to bring changes in your
Well,
place?
my homes, what the hotels are also I consider very much my homes, and each one of them I have always thought of being there 24 hours. So for me, all that I do is, thinking of the time of the day, on how the family is going to spend time where. So it's never been a place for most of us. In fact, not I can speak for the others on this panel as well. For most of us, it is not a place you go back in the evening. It is a place that you live in. You live your life in. So yeah, most of our ancestral homes are like that, and that's the underlying kind of process and theme that we take when we are decorating. I think most of the other ladies would agree to that because we really live in it. We're not going out to offices to work or something. And
True,
I'm very
that's true.
impressed with what you have. I'm already looking forward to seeing what you have and what I can use in my projects. Because
Definitely, definitely. It would be a pleasure. Yes, of course. We play equal attention to art. Art is very important to us.
I
Yeah.
can see it's lovely.
Bhabhi, sir, I had a question for you. Regarding the soft furnishings that that we've seen, and over the years they've evolved. From the Anoki type of prints, which are really beautiful in their own way. But you have such extraordinary rugs. If you can tell the
Yes,
viewers a little bit about the rugs that you have at Nirgad, for example, that we use throws.
right. So most of them again are from around Jodhpur, and we made an effort in most of our properties, and mainly in Mirgarh. We've tried not to go to Jaipur at all.
Okay.
So that is something because now you can find an Anoki bed cover anywhere in India and even in Paris or London or anywhere. It's
Exactly.
beautiful and I love it, but for Birgar we did not go anywhere outside of the area of Marwar. So most of the floor coverings, the cushions, the everything that you see there, the artifacts, are all from this area, the woodwork. Um, for Rohit House, of course, because there is a modern contemporary element, but it's still Bikaner and Jodhpur that I've sourced most of the stuff from.
Beautiful. Um, I had a quick question about the underlying motifs that run through the house. I mean, if you can tell people like how it's actually all based on Krishna, and how you have been inspired by that. Each
It's
room has a cows, or
right. So
elephant.
Krishna is actually the Ishdev of the Rohit family, and we have temples in Rohit, and we've got a new temple in Mirgarh as well,
Yeah.
and very close to my heart is from when I was a child. So Mirga has a temple, Rohit has a temple, Krishna temple, and in Rohit house I try to do it a little differently because it is a contemporary classic, come together. So it was miniatures on the walls, blown to full size, and
Okay.
Krishna is the theme. So it's very subtle. It's not if it's not on the face. It is. It takes a little bit of time to understand what it is. Um, so yeah, it would be just Krishna cows in some room. It could be the horse. So it's Krishna and Vishnu really.
Lovely.
The parrot, the peacock. And it's a thread that sort of runs through the house and connects it. And we
Lovely.
put a Gita in every room. So that was something that people really appreciated when they came because you go
You
to
put
many
what?
villages,
Sorry, I missed that.
a Gita,
Okay. Oh, lovely.
yeah, the Gita
Yeah.
in every room because and Devdutt Patnaik is a very easy to read uh, version of the Gita, and the guests love it. They just love it. So it sort
Yeah.
of completes the journey with all the
Really
paintings, and
complete.
you have a book
Yeah.
and something to know
I
about.
know where. Yeah, definitely.
Great. Do you have any
And
questions?
Yeah, yeah, no, I was just totally agreeing with the concept which he's talking about, the Gita and the Krishna and the symbols in the room. I think that's amazing. And always when people are moving out, they are never detached from these beliefs, and they're
Yeah.
always looking for such things. So even
correct.
when we are working with them and doing interiors, they're always asking for such elements to be included, and which really shows that how culturally attached those people are.
Yeah, I noticed some beautiful pitchwise in the little
Mm.
video that there are some beautiful.
All right. Okay. So we I think we'll come back with we'll come back with like a question for you. Can we now have Sushma ji, please?
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
sir. Hello. Yeah, how are you? How are you? So, I just want to first of all start off by saying that I've never been to your place, but I think from the look of it, it looks absolutely delicious, like a cake. I would say it's just so beautiful,
That's
and
that time in the near future. We would love that.
okay, great. I just snagged an invitation. So your palace now, I just want to check something with you. You know what's really interesting? Another thing I want to bring up is that out of the three ladies here, two of them are basically have homes, have palaces which were once guest houses, and yours is a very interesting story because yours is actually a guest house for a British Governor General of Awadh,
That's
and
right.
it must have been quite something to renovate a property like this.
It
And
was,
of course, yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, it was
Sorry.
1903. And unlike Rajasthan, we don't have the luxury of constructing in stone or the carvings that exist there. We have to work here with the lime and mortar and bricks, which are not half as resilient to the weather conditions as the stone is in Rajasthan. Although they're beautiful, I absolutely love the palaces and forts in Rajasthan. They're stunning, but this is different and it requires a lot more work and maintenance by way
Okay.
of interiors and water and humidity and stuff like that.
And like when it made the transition from when the Rajmata, Sahib lived there, and then it became a hotel. So, can you tell us about like what were some of the elements that you kept from the past? For example, like the marble floors are very stunning, and you have, of course, like like wooden doors and. But like, how did you? Again, as Anshu mentioned, it's been done by Adil Ahmad, and so like, how did he bring his vision into something that's so antique,
Sure. So Adil is a family friend and he was very patient with us. And we were very, very sensitive towards the changes that we were going to bring about, right? So we made sure that no structural changes were made inside the house or externally, because we were living in this place before me, my in-laws and his ancestors and everybody. So it was in fairly good shape. And the doors are still there, the terrazzo flooring, the marble flooring, all the marble in the bathrooms. There's a fountain inside the drawing room in the veranda side of it. And the doors, like you said, the fireplaces, which are beautiful. I don't know if you notice uh, in the pictures or the photographs. So all of that is being restored, and it's spick and span and shining and working on the fireplace work, which is amazing. But we dissuade the guests to use them because it can be dicey. So they're there, but not being used. And Adil himself is so talented, and he has a great sense of aesthetics and design. So we didn't have any problems with him there.
Okay, lovely. Gunjan, you have
He went, sorry, he went through everything with us for actually putting it there.
okay. I'll come back with some questions, but first let's go ahead with Gunjan.
Certainly.
So, like you were just discussing, that there were no structural changes you made, which is again a challenge in construction. So, what were the interior challenges that you faced while renovating the palace, and where you could think that a brand like IAH could play a role in it?
So the challenges were basically electricity, plumbing, and we do have a lot of termite problems. And because the house is so old, all of this needed change. And there were cracks, huge cracks coming up in the ceiling and the wall. As you notice in the main living room, the ceiling is almost 100 foot high. So we couldn't have managed this locally. You needed somebody specialized to do it because it was major restoration and we have the thing falling on our heads. So I got to know of this gentleman called Mr. Gundu Rao, who's from down south, and he specializes in restoration work. In fact, if any of the other participants would like to use his expertise, I think they
Mhm.
should get in touch with them. So he sent a team of workers who came, who did a survey of the upstairs where we live now, and the downstairs that is totally a guest house. And they
Mhm.
worked out a budget with a strategy, and his team used to come and do the work and go. So he still didn't use cement because he said because it's a mud structure with bricks, cement is not going to hold on to that. With mud and lime, you need to work with mud and lime, not cement. So he did a fantastic. So that way, that's when Adil came to the picture. Once that was, and then how it is. As far as Gunjan, your works go, I think they're fabulous from what I've seen in your factory and at your working place. And we have some things like mirrors, for instance, or certain vases, or even a lot of latches and handles and tea lights, holders, glass holders, which are all made here in Hyderabad, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And at
Great.
some point, we
Thank
decide
you.
to renovate
Yeah.
the top as well as a guest house, then I'm going to get in touch with you for sure.
Sushma ji, can you tell our viewers a little bit about how each room is really interestingly named after a gemstone? Like you have all the it's so lovely and the colors reflect that.
Yes, that was our son's idea. I'm not going to take the credit for it. It's purely to do with the color scheme of that room. And
Okay.
it's different because otherwise you have a Maharaja's suite or a Maharani suite. That is what you generally see everywhere. So we thought this would be a little different and interesting.
Okay. And have you used any of the elements from I mean, you are in Moradabad, so of course all the brass elements must be playing a very huge role.
So see, all the old planters, for instance, the planters for pots with plants in it,
Yes.
those are from before. There are fire stokers, stoke the fire. There you have the fire guards, which come in front of a fireplace, and a samovar, which is actually Kashmir based, but there was one lying in the house, a huge one, which we use for the guests.
Yes.
Uh, and a lot of stuff like, for the incense, all the
Yes.
old stuff, which is very pretty and carved, which we didn't want to do away with, or candlesticks for that matter.
Mhm. Okay.
Yes.
Lovely.
Brass heads, which we did not use, very low, but very low. And I think it's more comfortable to have a higher bed for the guests and for
Okay.
us also. So those we're using upstairs now in the house.
Okay. Great. Great. Well, we will again come back to you. This is so interesting. I just have to keep it within a little tight, and then we will come back to you with more questions. Can we
Absolutely.
have Rashmi, please, from Bhanjdeo? I mean, from Mayur Bhanj, sorry. Rashmi
Hi,
Bhanjdeo.
Priya.
Hello,
Hello.
how are you? I have to quickly tell you something about your property. Also, it's a vision in white. I think it's Corinthian, if I'm not mistaken, from where I've read. And your daughter actually told me about it because I spoke to her a few weeks ago, and she told me about all the fact that it was built as a guest house, and that's remarkable. um, and the fact that the personalities like Mr. J.N. Tata and the Tagore family came visiting. So obviously it was built with that kind of aesthetic in mind. But it's so interesting. I mean, I'm just going to let you do the talking. But your daughter did say one thing. Akshita did say something very interesting that I want to share with the viewers. She described it, and I love this. She described it as a very Wes Anderson like, and those of us who follow the movies of Wes Anderson, we know that his sets are very opulent and very to that time, to the period that it depicts. And in this case, it's I think the early 1900s. So, can you tell us a bit about this marvel and how you have done it up?
Okay, so basically, the house, as you enter the house, the most striking features of the house are the huge Doric Corinthian columns, which blend beautifully with the Greek and Victorian architecture. Then we have open verandas running throughout the property with black and white checkered marbles, huge windows, so a lot of light
Mm,
comes in. This building was made by Maharani Sumitra Devi in 1804. She started the construction, and over a period of time, the other rulers have also added their bit to it. But because it was a guest house, I think, and a lot of eminent personalities have lived here. And after the states merged, the family was living here. And I think every person who added a bit to this palace were very, very eminent personalities. And when you come to the house, it's like striking. It's like those huge portraits, dark colors, thick upholsteries. The furniture is not just out of the run furniture, it was selected and chosen. So the furniture has come from Indonesia, from China, from
wow.
Europe. With crystals in the cabinets. So basically, when we started we thought about the renovation part of it. It was quite a challenge because how do you overcome, like it's like taking a personality and trying to change now the personality, because you feel that the personality has become a little drab or the clothes have become a little old, so let's change it. But then you still got to think so much harder about how to still maintain the character of the place without like modernizing it, without modernizing it too much, and yet keeping to the nature of the house.
Okay, lovely. And I have a lot of questions, but let's Gunjan, if you have a question for us.
Yeah, so like the palace is very famous, and you are saying that you had to keep most of the things intact. So it's like you're turning it modern. So it was like more transitional interiors that you were doing there. So, what was your major inspiration? What was your major design inspiration on doing while doing the interiors of the palace?
Right. So the major reason why we made this into a guest house was to create a platform to help and support the artisans and the local communities. So, like, even though we run it as a guest house, we try and serve local sweets. A lot of handicrafts of the local handicrafts are being used here. The local dance forms we get over in the evenings for the people who the guests who stay with us to watch, because Chow, the dance form Mayurbhanj, is also like one of the dying art forms. So we are trying to help them, and we are trying to support all the NGOs which help these dancers and these young children who are learning Chow again. And then we have like the dokra and the sabai grass in the palace as much as we can use. When we have the guests, we try and create an experience for them by taking them to these artisans, for them to realize that how difficult it is for them to sustain, and how much time it takes to create that one basket which is woven by the hand. Even the sabai grass basically is a grass which was bought from Africa by one of our ancestors. And for the longest period, it was the biggest small scale industry of Mayurbhanj. And then they used to make ropes then. And then when the plastic ropes came in, then obviously the sabai grass ropes didn't sell so well, and the plastic took over. And we are also trying to make our property 100% plastic free. We have a lot of stress on eco, on helping anything that's natural and helping the ecological balance. We try not to use chemicals on the property, so we are trying to use like cow dung and manure, and we supporting all small organizations which can help us. And so at the same time they are helping us, and we are helping them in making these things come true for them.
Great.
That's
No, I wanted to again just go back into the palace itself, and the fact that you have so many different aspects to it. Like you have a bit of a touch from Nepal.
Yes.
Yes. And that is reflected in one of the rooms, right? Like there's a pink
Yeah.
room, and
So we
each room is
decided
like
to
a jewel.
dedicate. Sorry.
No, I was just
Yeah.
saying that
Sorry.
each
What?
room is like a jewel box. I mean, it really looks like a jewel box.
Right. So we decided to dedicate rooms to the prominent family people who have lived in the place. So it's a
Okay.
reflection of how they lived, what are the colors they liked, and things like that. So we have one
Yeah.
room which has been dedicated to Sucharu Devi. She was also the Maharani of
Yeah.
Mayurbhanj. She was Kesar
Yeah.
Chandra Sen's daughter, the founder of the Brahmo Samaj.
Okay. Yes. Yes. It's very fascinating. It's really, really, really amazing. And okay, great. Do you have another question, Gunjan? You're good?
uh, so like
Okay. So no, okay.
when
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So it's like like we all are working together in some or the other way in retaining the art, and we are supporting the artisans in our local areas. So where is the design philosophy that is coming from?
So the designs, basically, my daughters are looking into it. So they, and even I do help them a little bit, but they are the forerunners for it. So we decide on the designs and the colors. We are also trying to help now in handloom, and there's a small organization that has set up these weaver centers, and we are trying to revive the natural dyes which were being used in this place. So there was, for
Okay.
example, a certain bark of the tree, and the yellow color would be taken out from that bark of the tree. So now, because all these ingenious methods are disappearing, because definitely it's easier to use color and things like that. So we are now working with this one lady. I'm forgetting her name. She's Hyderabad based, and she has total authority on natural dyes. So we are trying to get her and her team to come down once in a while to help these weavers. So how we can start using the natural dyes for the fabrics. and make saris with them.
Oh wow, that's really. And will that also be something that's going to be sold? I mean, it's going to be there for the tourists, for the visitors.
Yes, yes, yes.
Perfect.
And many a
Great.
times the tourists are very interested in going to these centers to see how the things are done instead of just buying it
Yes.
off the rack.
Okay. Lovely. Lovely, great. I just wanted to kind of go back to people because just wanted to ask them a question. For example, first of all, Bhavita, I want to ask you something about this. Of course, this redoing doing the Rohit House and making it into this luxurious hotel. It has inspired you to start your own firm. Can you tell us a little bit about that? The Matters of Space by Rohit.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
I, I love doing interiors, and I'm not a professional. I'm not trained for it. It's more intuitive, as I told. I just my design style is very traditional. It's deep rooted in tradition, and I love, love to get the contemporary with traditional. And with my daughter coming home, she's now a graduate from Srishti School of Design.
that's right.
I just both of us just thought that it is a good idea to start something. So we
Yeah.
haven't really worked. We've got a lot of inquiries, but we haven't really started working on any project for
Okay.
anybody. Now we've only done our own, which which is a little different from doing it professionally. So yeah, we're looking forward to doing some interesting work.
Great. So it's like it's whoever wants a piece of your aesthetics can now just ask you to transport that and maybe recreate it anywhere in the world.
Yeah, yes, we have. We would love to do that. Let's see
Maybe,
how it went.
maybe Gunjan, you guys can collaborate and do something interesting together in the near future.
Definitely, definitely looking forward to it. It's
Yeah.
very,
I
this is
just
very
love to do. I just love to do interiors. So
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, the design style he is talking about keeping tradition and then modernizing it. So basically, the transitional style. This is what is the main focus of IAH, and we also keep it in our mind because Indian homes, we are still Indians, and so we are evolving our homes into modern spaces and keeping the tradition intact. Yeah.
Sushma ji, I had a question for you. What advice would you give somebody who was in your position, who has inherited like a really nice, very old property and who wants to modernize it? So, what are the elements that one should keep, and which are the ones one should modernize?
Okay, I think externally it's important what there is structure, and modernizing it is important because you need all the modern amenities,
Yeah.
whether it's plumbing, whether it's your bathrooms, whether it's electricity, whether it's air conditioners. You have to, since you have opened your home to guests, you have to cater to their needs, make them comfortable, and something jarring. It should be a good blend of combining modern elements that are a perfect blend between elegance and artistry, whether it's fabric, whether it's furniture, whether it's your lighting. Yeah, I think that's what I think.
That's really lovely. That's absolutely great. And I mean, for example, there's something that cannot be that has to have to be kept, like old chandeliers or fireplaces, or of course, like you have doors, and so I think these are all things that you guys have all highlighted in your palaces, and
Yes, whether it's statues or lamps or chandeliers, everything should be used. I think as long as there's a coordination and it's a to the aesthetic eye. And so far, we've been very lucky because all the guests we've had the last 2 years have been more than 2, 3 times to us, which means they're comfortable and they like the environment and the ambience, and therefore they visit us again and again.
Yes. Rashmi ji, I had a question for you about, that you said something very interesting about how you are doing this, like, to also help the artisans, and that was always, I mean, wasn't that always at the back of your mind when you opened it, in the sense that these crafts are pretty much dying, so like how can we as tourists, or rather, as guests, how can we help? Like how do we help
I think
these people?
I
Yeah.
the worst and the sad part I feel are that all these things are really cheap. And so, if people can, like for example, the sabai grass baskets, now Diwali is coming, or Dashera, any
Yeah.
of the festivals, instead of using plastic or any other material, if you can use these baskets for giving sweets or even during weddings and things, I think we just need to create a market for these people. And me and my daughters are really trying to support them because most of these industries are women empowered industries, most of them. It's the women who are running
Yeah.
the show completely. So they work
Yeah.
in the fields, they drop their children to school, then they sit at these centers and weave these baskets, and they're really good at it. So I think if we can create a market for them, or if experts like Gunjan and his team, their team comes in, and she can just give better designs to them, because we are still working with some very old designs. So if new designs can be, the same thing can be modified a little, like we are using them as dustbins in our house right now, as baskets in the bathroom for putting in your clothes for laundry. But any other way that you can use them, they're making chatais out of it, they're making table mats with them. And I'm sure it's endless, because the grass can just be twisted to make anything.
Great. I had one question for you, which is kind of interesting, because again, something Akshita told me is that your palace is almost perfectly symmetrical. How did that play into how you did the decor?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Your the Bulgaria Palace is almost a perfectly symmetrical building. So how did that affect the rooms?
How did Yeah, but as I told you, maybe because the construction of the palace has been done in different stages, all rooms are not of the same size, so they're different
Okay.
sizes, and some
Okay.
of them, the ceilings are also a little different. So then we had to, at least with the colors and things, you had to be careful about what colors you're using with the walls which have high ceilings, vis-a-vis the walls which are low ceiling. And like you couldn't use the four-poster beds in the small rooms, you had to use them in the bigger rooms, and things like that.
Okay, great. And this is a similar problem that you face, Babisa, at the road house. There are many rooms that you had to expand, and you had to change, and like, so. I mean, you've become a master at that. But how do you like? How do you do that? Like, I mean, like, how do you balance the spaces?
Yeah, at Rohit we had to really, really sort of juggle
Yeah.
with space. But yeah, one has to be a little sensitive to not sort of not touch the original structure.
Yeah.
It's a responsibility, it is an old building, and one has to respect that part of it before
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
sort of fiddle with any of the walls. So we've done whatever we've done is within the old structure. So it could
Okay.
be garages, stables, it could be kacheri, whatever it was, the structure remained the same. And within that, we've tried to sort of fit in a bathroom, or fit in a dressing room, or whatever. So yeah, that's something that if you inherited a building that was
Yeah.
400 years old, and you can't
Yeah.
just you can't just there was a trend about say 50, 40 years back when people wanted to get rid of everything that was old and make it very
Yeah.
modern. But today
Now it's
people
the
are very
opposite.
sensitive. They are they're not touching it like that. They're very very sort of conscious of their heritage. They respect the old. And it's beautiful because I mean the construction of that time. is, I mean, there's no comparison. So yeah, you can't
Exactly.
just the stone arches, the beautiful, you know, the structures are really so well planned and they are so comfortable to live in. So you can add the modern to it, but one has to respect what our ancestors left behind because the artisans of that time really thought of everything: the wind flow, the
Yeah.
ventilation,
Absolutely.
so many
That was
little
beautiful.
things. It's fantastic. You
True.
have to be careful when you're touching these old buildings.
True. Absolutely. Gunjan, I had a question for you about the furniture. Actually, it's something that struck me. Like how does your furniture, because it seems amazingly seamless. Like how is it equally at home? How would it be equally at home in a place like a old Haveli, or and as well as a high rise, an apartment in a high rise building? How would that, how did you make it that it looks so, contemporary? It just looks new and fresh.
So as we said that as a brand try to provide modern experience in Indian home. So we keep the mood transitional so that it can fit into a classic home as well as into a very contemporary home. So there is a range where you will find a piece definitely fit in all design, all kind of both where you have like a classic room, you have a modern room, you have a very contemporary room. The furniture is built in such a way it's transition, so it can fit with every room. So like what we say is like what we do is like balance and symmetry is important, but it doesn't
Yeah.
mean every piece have to be
Mhm.
same. So
Mm.
when we do a space, we do an eclectic mix of pieces. So with the balance of a classic piece and a modern piece, and when you put them all together, then it comes out to be a very cohesive approach in which you see that there is a modern ambience that is created around the whole space. So this is how our design team works at a space.
Well, lovely. Well, great. If we can get Anshu back, and hi, Anshu. It's just been really fascinating. I think we could all really go on. I have so many questions for these people here on my side. I'm Gunjan, and it's just amazing how I mean the takeaway from this. So I please, if you would like to say something, and then we'll wrap it up.
I was on mute. It was so fascinating to listen in from backstage and hear all these lovely stories, and again reiterate the fact that Princely India, Noble India, Royal India knows how to keep and conserve and yet move forward. I'd like to really thank each one of you for finding time. Gunjan will join me in thanking you because young people like Gunjan who are working hard to keep the contemporary and modern and classic together. They can really learn a lot from you. Thanks a lot. And Priya, you are amazing as always. So thank
Thank you.
you. And
It was
thank you
it
for
was Yeah, it was amazing to know about the legacy of these magnificent dynasties and to see how creatively the ladies of these royal houses are modernizing their palaces and giving out an experience to the visitors. And also, it was very pleasing to know that how uh, we are all supporting the local community to use their best skills and provide them for employment and give them a platform. So that was really wonderful, and it was really good to know how you all have done your interiors. So this was something like which IH can totally relate to.
it was mind blowing. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Sushma
you
ji.
so much.
I think I'll take up your offer to come and see you on the way
Thank
back
you,
from the.
Anshu.
Thank you,
Offer
Yeah,
Rani.
thank you.
all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anshu.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
Gunjan.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Priya.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Bye,
Vanessa.
Ram.
Bye. Thank
Rashmi.
you,
Bye,
Sahaspur
Priya.
Bilari.
Bye.
Take
See
Gunjan, Anshu. Bye.
you. Bye.
care. Bye bye.
Bye.